Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the history of a machine that, quite literally, built the modern world. You see them on every construction site, every major road project, a true titan of industry. I'm talking about the dump truck. We take them for granted now, these massive vehicles, effortlessly lifting tons of material. But have you ever stopped to think about where they came from? What did the very first one look like? And who were the brilliant minds that conceived of a truck that could dump its own load? The story is way more fascinating than you might think, filled with steam power, clever inventors, and a revolution in how we move materials. It's a journey that takes us from the horse and cart era to the dawn of motorized transport. So buckle up, because we're about to haul a heavy load of history starting way back in the late 19th century. Our story begins not in a bustling American city, but across the pond in Western Europe, during a time of incredible industrial change. The year is 1896. Cities are growing, factories are churning out goods, and with all this progress comes a lot of, waste, and a lot of materials that need to be moved. Back then, if you needed to transport sand, coal, or gravel, your options were pretty limited. You'd use a horse-drawn cart, and when you got to your destination, unloading was a back-breaking, time-consuming process. Everything had to be shoveled out by hand, shovel by shovel. It was slow, it was inefficient, and it required a massive amount of manual labor. Enter a brilliant English engineer named John Isaac Thornycroft. Thornycroft was a visionary in the world of steam-powered vehicles. He founded the Thornycroft Steam Carriage and Van Company, and he was constantly looking for new ways to apply steam power to solve practical problems. He saw the inefficiency of manual unloading and had a groundbreaking idea. What if the vehicle could unload itself? In 1896, he developed what many consider to be the great-grandfather of all dump trucks. He called it a steam-powered tip cart, though it was more commonly known as a dust cart because its primary job was hauling waste and dust. This machine was a true marvel of its time. It wasn't a truck as we know it today. It was a heavy, steam-powered vehicle. But the genius was in its design. Thornycroft devised a mechanism that used a separate drive to power a tipping system. The driver could engage a lever, and the entire cargo bed would tilt backward, allowing its contents to slide right out. It was a simple concept, but utterly revolutionary. For the first time, a vehicle could drop its load without a team of workers spending hours with shovels. This single invention dramatically increased efficiency on work sites and in city sanitation. Thornycroft's steam-powered tip cart wasn't just a new vehicle, it was a new way of thinking about transporting bulk materials. It proved that mechanical power could do more than just move a vehicle from point A to point B. It could also perform the work that once required immense human effort. This British innovation planted the seed that would soon sprout and flourish in the fertile ground of American industry. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, the action shifts to the United States, a nation buzzing with ambition and industrial might. While Thornycroft's steam-powered creation was a game-changer, steam had its limitations. It was heavy, slow to start up, and required a lot of maintenance. The future was with the internal combustion engine, and American companies were leading the charge. Across the country, small workshops and factories were experimenting with this new, more efficient power source, building the first automobiles and trucks. One of these pioneering companies was the Galion Buggy Company, based in Galion, Ohio. As their name suggests, they started out making horse-drawn buggies. But like many smart businesses of the era, they saw the writing on the wall. The age of the horse was ending, and the age of the motor was beginning. They pivoted to manufacturing motorized vehicles, and they had their eyes set on solving the same problem Thornycroft had tackled: how to unload materials more efficiently. Around 1904, the Galion Buggy Company developed one of the very first motorized dumping vehicles in America. They mounted a simple, hand-operated dumping mechanism onto one of their early truck chassis. It was still a far cry from the powerful machines we know today. The driver would have to get out and manually crank a winch or pull a lever to get the bed to tilt, but it was a significant step forward. It combined the mobility and speed of a gasoline-powered truck with the utility of a dumping body. This made it far more practical for a wider range of jobs than its steam-powered predecessor. But the real breakthrough was yet to come. While manual dumping was better than shoveling, it still required physical effort and time. The next logical step was to automate the dumping process entirely. Inventors and engineers began experimenting with different ways to use the truck's own power to lift the bed. Early designs were often complex and unreliable, using a series of gears and clutches powered by the engine. But the most promising technology was hydraulics. The idea of using pressurized fluid to generate immense force was not new, but applying it to a truck was. Companies like the Wood Hoist Company, which later became Wood Hydraulic Hoist and Body Company, were at the forefront of this innovation. They developed some of the first successful hydraulic hoist systems for trucks. This was the true game changer. With a hydraulic hoist, the driver could simply pull a lever from inside the cab, and a powerful hydraulic cylinder would smoothly and effortlessly raise the heaviest of loads. The process of dumping tons of material was now reduced to a simple action that took only a few seconds. This innovation, first appearing around 1914, transformed the dump truck from a clever novelty into an indispensable piece of industrial equipment. The combination of a motorized chassis and a hydraulic hoist created the blueprint for every modern dump truck that would follow. The industry was now set for its next major evolution. The 1920s roared in, a decade of unprecedented growth and construction. Skyscrapers were reaching for the heavens, and massive infrastructure projects like the Hoover Dam were on the horizon. All this construction required moving staggering amounts of earth, rock, and concrete. The early hydraulic dump trucks were good, but they had their limits. The hydraulic systems were still relatively new and could be complex to maintain. The industry was ripe for another innovation, one that focused on simplicity, reliability, and raw power. This is where another key figure enters our story, Robert Mahoney. In 1920, Mahoney developed a new type of dump truck that took a slightly different approach. Instead of relying on the still-developing hydraulic technology, he went back to a more mechanical solution, but with a clever twist. He designed what he called the gravity dump body. His design featured a heavy-duty cargo bed mounted on a pivot point. To hold it in place, he used a strong cable connected to a powerful winch, which was driven by the truck's engine. When it was time to dump, the driver would release a latch. The weight of the load itself, combined with gravity, would cause the bed to tip backward. The winch and cable system controlled the descent and then powerfully pulled the empty bed back into place. This design was brilliantly simple and incredibly robust. It didn't have the complex seals and fluid lines of a hydraulic system, making it easier to maintain and repair in the rugged conditions of a construction site. Mahoney's winch and cable system could handle incredibly heavy loads with great reliability. This invention was so effective that it became a dominant design for heavy-duty dump trucks for many years. It allowed for the creation of larger, more capable trucks that could tackle the most demanding jobs. Robert Mahoney's contribution was crucial because it provided a tough, dependable solution that perfectly matched the needs of the booming construction industry. His design didn't just move materials, it accelerated the pace of progress, helping to build the roads, bridges, and cities that define modern America. From Thornycroft's steam-powered cart to Mahoney's rugged winch system, the evolution of the dump truck is a perfect example of human ingenuity. Each step of the journey was driven by a simple need: to do a tough job better, faster, and more safely. These inventors weren't just building machines. They were creating tools that empowered us to reshape our world on a scale never before imagined. The hydraulic systems became more powerful and reliable. The trucks themselves grew larger and more specialized. And today we have articulated haulers and massive mining trucks that can carry hundreds of tons in a single load. But at the heart of every single one is the same fundamental idea that sparked in the minds of those early pioneers: a vehicle that can dump its own load. So the next time you see a dump truck lumbering down the road, take a moment to appreciate its incredible history. It's more than just a truck. It is a monument to over a century of innovation and a symbol of the relentless drive to build a better world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this history as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the machines that made history. Let me know in the comments what piece of industrial history you'd like to see covered next. Until then, stay curious.